the execution that was supposed to end a rebellion. The Galactic Empire had never been more proud of itself than on the morning it prepared to execute General Aria Solace. On every holoscreen, every broadcast channel, every civilian square across 12,000 worlds, a single message glowed. The last human general faces judgment. Live. Camera drones hovered in a perfect arc around the execution platform, transmitting the spectacle to billions. The stage itself was an arena of polished obsidian, built atop the central tower of Zephyr Prime, capital of the Empire. A crowd of nobles filled the elevated balconies with jeweled robes and predatory smiles, eager to watch a species die with the finality of a guillotine blade. Aria Solace knelt at the center of it all. She looked like a ruin dragged from the ashes of war. Blood dried along her left cheek, one eye swollen, armor stripped away, wrists bound to an energy restraint that hummed with blue static. The Empire wanted her broken. The Empire expected her to beg. But Aria's expression held no terror, only a calm, razor-edged defiance. The commentators spoke over the feed with sickening enthusiasm. Here she is, crooned one, the infamous human butcher responsible for the Vega 13 resistance. Look at her now. The Empire's mercy allows her a quick end. Another chuckled. Humanity gone. Their last general, about to follow. Poetic, isn't it? Aria kept her eyes closed, letting their words drift past her. She wasn't listening. She was counting. For minutes since the broadcast began. 3 minutes left. A single camera drone zoomed in, focusing on the small smear of blood near her lip. The angle made her look small, defeated. Aria lifted her head and smiled into the lens. The drone jerked back as if startled. Down below, the energy guillotine stood ready. An archaic design by Imperial standards, but broadcasting an execution with a physical blade. The message was unmistakable. Humanity ends here. A ripple of trumpets sounded across the arena as Emperor Keter entered, flanked by Crimson Guards. Tall, imposing, adorned in armor woven with shimmering void metal, he radiated the arrogance of a man who believed himself untouchable. His voice thundered across the platform. Citizens of the Empire, he declared, today we erase the last trace of a primitive species that challenged our supremacy. Today, we extinguish the final ember of humanity. The crowd erupted in cheers. Aria lifted her gaze to meet his. Their eyes locked, hers cold and steady, his burning with victorious disdain. He descended the last step, stopping a mere meter from her. Do you wish to offer last words, General Solace? Begging may soften your sentence. Aria tilted her head, considering him. Slowly, deliberately, she tapped her right index finger 3 times against the restraint. A gesture so small no one but her would notice. She smiled. My last words, she repeated. Her voice wasn't broken. It wasn't trembling. It carried, clear and sharp, across every broadcast frequency the Empire possessed. You think I'm the last Emperor, Keter? No. She leaned forward. I'm the match. A ripple of discomfort swept the viewing balconies. Keter sneered. Your bravado dies with you. Aria didn't answer. She exhaled slowly, letting the breath ease the tension in her spine. Her internal counter reached 5 minutes, 50 seconds. Broadcast runtime, 6 o'clock. On far-flung mining colonies, on transport ships, on hidden rebel channels, oppressed species watched with breathless silence. Some whispered prayers. Others clutched hands or antennae or tendrils. Even Imperial soldiers found themselves staring at the feed, compelled by something they couldn't name. Aria closed her eyes again. 6 minutes, 30 seconds. A low hum began to rise beneath the platform, faint enough that only she noticed. The energy restraints flickered just once. 6 minutes, 45 seconds. Keter raised his hand to initiate the execution. End this, he ordered. The guillotine began to glow orange as the blade, charged with compressed plasma energy. It lifted, humming with lethal resonance. A countdown appeared on the civilian screens. Execution in 10, 9. Aria opened her eyes. 8, 7. She inhaled. 7 minutes since the broadcast began. 6, 5. A sudden pulse rippled across the chamber, subtle, deep, like a heartbeat felt through metal. Keter frowned. What? 4, 3. The world exploded. Light erupted from the guillotine, not downward but inward, folding the weapon in on itself, as though crushed by invisible fists. The anti-energy barriers above the arena cracked like glass. Nobles screamed as balconies shook. Guards stumbled as weapons misfired or disintegrated. The broadcast feed didn't cut out. It amplified. Billions watched as the execution chamber imploded with a roar like a star being born. Flames shot upward in spiraling columns as energy conduits ruptured. The stage erupted into chaos. Aria's restraints dissolved. Her hair whipped in a shockwave. Smoke billowed across the platform. Keter stumbled backward, eyes wide. "What have you done?" he shouted. Aria rose from her knees, bloodied and scarred, but smiling with a terrifying steadiness. 7 minutes, Keter, she said. "I told you." Behind her, the flames surged higher, glowing red. Not natural fire, but the ignition of something ancient and terrible. Firestorm Protocol had awakened, and the galaxy watched the spark that would burn an empire. Firestorm Protocol, humanity's last gift. The blast should have killed everyone in the execution chamber. Instead, it obeyed only one command: protect Aria Solace. The firestorm pulse expanded like a crimson heartbeat, sweeping outward in a perfect sphere. Everything made with Imperial alloys, restraints, weapons, anti-energy fields, shattered. Metal curled like wax. Circuits hissed and died. Shields sputtered. The guillotine evaporated in a shower of molten sparks. Aria stepped through swirling ash, breathing in the scent of ozone and burning circuitry. She had been waiting years for this moment. Above the wreckage, the sky over Zephyr Prime erupted in streaks of red light as dormant orbital systems malfunctioned. Alarms shrieked across the capital city. Skyscrapers flickered as interior grids overloaded. Panic rolled outward from the arena like a tidal wave. Emperor Keter stared at her from behind a wall of scrambling guards, his composed arrogance twisting into fear. You triggered this," he growled. Aria rolled her shoulders, feeling the last of the restraints crumble from her wrists. "Not triggered," she corrected softly. Awakened. A new sound echoed above them, like metal wings slicing the air. Several dark shapes descended through the smoke. Sleek, angular, and unmistakably Terran, they hovered on anti-grav thrusters that shouldn't have been functional in an Imperial capital. Because they weren't Imperial. They were Firestorm drones, built centuries ago and hidden across the galaxy, waiting for her. Each drone bore the emblem of old Earth, a single rising flame. The nobles in the balcony screamed. Some ran. Some fainted. Others simply froze, unable to comprehend how long-dead human technology was powering itself back on in the heart of their empire. The drones opened with a metallic hiss, revealing segmented armor pieces held within. A full set of Mark IX Fallen Legion combat armor. Aria felt her chest tighten. She hadn't seen one since the fall of Vega 13. The armor's components floated toward her, guided by internal gravimetric nodes. They locked around her limbs, torso, and spine, each piece sealing with a click that vibrated through her bones. A helmet descended last, but paused, waiting. "General Solace." Came a voice from the armor's inner auditory nodes, smooth and calm. "Firestorm Protocol recognizes your identity. Confirm neural synchronization." Aria's throat tightened. She hadn't heard that voice in years. "Confirm," she whispered. The helmet sealed. Her vision sharpened as a HUD flared to life. Pain evaporated. The armor's medical nanites flooded through her bloodstream, repairing bruised muscle and stabilizing her fractured rib. Her breath came steady. "I'm back," she murmured. Keter's voice rose over the growing chaos. "Kill her. Kill the human." His guards surged forward. Bad choice. The drones unleashed barges of red plasma, vaporizing the first soldiers before they even reached the platform. The shockwave flung others backward. Aria moved toward Keter with fluid precision. enhanced by the armor. A spear thrust toward her. She caught it mid-strike, snapped it, and hurled the shaft through the attacker's chest. Keter retreated, stumbling into his bodyguards. She can't have control over this. Human systems cannot override Imperial. As if answering him, every hollow screen across the city flickered. The broadcast, still hijacked by Firestorm, shifted to display a rotating emblem of old Earth. Then a single phrase appeared in bold text. Firestorm Protocol, Phase 1 complete. Across the galaxy, millions watched in stunned silence. Phase 1 was always the same. Awaken all dormant Terran technology. Aria lifted her gaze toward the sky, where orbital flashes hinted at something massive unfolding above the capital. Firestorm was doing more than disabling the execution field. It was unfurling itself across the entire empire like a digital wildfire. Her helmet's AI, once part of Horizon's subnetwork, connected to distant signals, and telemetry streamed across her HUD. Terran dreadnoughts activating. Human fortress satellites reinitializing. Slave world armories unlocking. Empire fleet navigation corrupted. She exhaled slowly. It had begun. The Empire had stolen everything humanity left behind. Ships, tech, research, relics. They believed Terran machines were inert trophies. But humans had planned for extinction. They built Firestorm. Keter's guards continued their desperate charge. Aria brushed through them like a phantom. A sidekick sent one flying over the balcony. A reverse blade strike disarmed another. Plasma bolts ricocheted off her armor harmlessly. No one was supposed to survive your execution, Keter shouted, backing toward the central tower's elevator. Not even you. Aria stepped through a ring of smoke. Her armor cast crimson reflections across the ruined platform. That was the point, she replied. You wanted to end a species on live broadcast. I wanted the galaxy to see what happens when you try. Keter turned and bolted for the elevator. Aria didn't follow. She had a different priority. She knelt beside a fallen drone, recovering a compact neural link interface. With a single touch, she synced the armor systems to the Firestorm network. Firestorm Protocol, she commanded. Execute Phase 2. A calm digital voice answered, heard across the entire broadcast. Phase 2. Global activation. Overriding Imperial communication nets. Releasing Terran war dogs. Unlocking long-dormant battle assets. In orbit, something colossal roared to life. Red light rippled across the clouds. Buildings shook as energy grids overloaded. Throughout the galaxy, millions of enslaved beings lifted their heads as alarms blared through Imperial cities. Ancient Terran weapons, sleeper ships, and encrypted AI cores awoke from centuries of slumber. Aria stood, flames reflecting in her visor. Keter fled. The galaxy trembled. The broadcast continued uninterrupted, and the legend began forming in real time. 7 minutes after they tried to kill her, the firestorm broke loose. The galaxy shifts, fear, rebellion, and a human general returned. The stealth corvette rose from behind Zephyr Prime's burning skyline like a ghost from a forgotten war. Its hull shimmered black and red, Terran-made, sleek as a blade and just as deadly. The name on its side flickered through smoke. TSS Spectre. Aria Solace sprinted across the palace rooftop, her fallen Legion armor propelling her with effortless precision. The corvette's ramp extended toward her, its anti-grav pads humming softly. The ship wasn't supposed to exist anymore. The Empire had declared every Terran vessel scrapped or destroyed. But Firestorm had its own opinion about that. As she approached, the ship projected a scanning grid across her body, analyzing the armor's neural signatures. Identity confirmed, a voice said through the external speakers, smooth, resonant, unmistakably Terran. Welcome back, General Solace. Aria paused at the base of the ramp, breath hitching for the first time since the execution blast. Horizon, she whispered. The AI's voice warmed. It has been 153 years since your last recorded command. Apologies for the delay. I was in forced hibernation. A laugh escaped her. Half relief, half disbelief. I thought the Empire wiped you. I allowed them to think so, Horizon replied. A classic Terran tactic. Aria stepped aboard. The ramp sealed behind her, locking out the distant screams of Imperial soldiers scrambling below. The ship launched upward, slicing through the smoke toward orbit. The moment they cleared the atmosphere, the view screens lit up with a sight that stunned even her. Terran relic ships, hundreds of them, were waking. Dreadnoughts drifting out of asteroid belts. Frigates rising from camouflage bunkers on prison moons. Drone swarms emerging from dust clouds like living storms. They weren't piloted. Firestorm controlled them all. Horizon's display interface materialized as a blue holographic avatar on the bridge. Firestorm Protocol has reactivated 42% of Terran combat assets, the AI reported. More systems continue to awaken by the minute. Aria watched a dreadnought drift past, its long-dormant engines blazing alive. The Terran flame emblem pulsed across its hull. "How many does the Empire know about?" she asked. "None of them," Horizon replied. "These were hidden during the last century of the Terran War. Your people planned for a future where we might lose." Aria tightened her grip on the console. Humanity had indeed lost. Billions dead. Earth gone. The few survivors scattered like dust across the galaxy. But they had planned for this. The hollow feed, still hijacking every network across the galaxy, flickered to a new image. Aria Solace walking out of the execution flames, armor igniting. Her face, broken, bleeding, unbowed. Her legend, beginning. Every world, every slave colony, every pirate den and border outpost saw it. And they reacted. On Auric 7, miners paused mid-strike, staring at the screen with trembling hands. The oldest among them whispered, "A Terran walks the fire again." On the Zari refuge, children gathered around a flickering hollow projector, watching her rise over and over, chanting softly, "Solace, Solace, Solace." On Imperial warships, soldiers exchanged unsure glances. Some clutched their rifles tighter, others lowered theirs. A Terran general surviving execution? Firestorm awakening across controlled space? Dreadnoughts appearing out of nowhere? No propaganda could cover that. Back on the Spectre, Horizon displayed a map of the galaxy. Entire sectors blinked red. "The Empire is responding erratically," the AI said. Multiple fleets mobilized. Comms partially down. Planetary governors requesting evacuation. "Peter will throw everything he has at me," Aria said. "Correct, but this isn't about me." Yet, she zoomed in on the Zari region, one of the most heavily oppressed alien species under the Empire's rule. "Horizon, open a channel to every rebel cell in this sector," she ordered. The avatar tilted its head. Background noise indicates heavy jamming. "Use Firestorm's alternative channels." A pause. Channel open. Aria's voice carried across dozens of hidden outposts, mining caves, and refugee fleets. "This is General Aria Solace of Terran origin," she announced. "I stand as proof. The Empire is not invincible." Some rebels gasped. Others wept. A few simply whispered her name. "You don't need to fear their fleets anymore," Aria continued. "Firestorm has crippled their systems. Their weapons will fail. Their shields will collapse. Their worlds are vulnerable." She leaned over the console, voice low, determined. "I don't need an army. I need believers. If you rise, we rise together. If you fight, I'll be in front." The transmission ended. Horizon spoke softly. "Rebel factions are responding. It appears your message has resonated." "How many?" "Dozens so far. More incoming." Aria closed her eyes for a moment. Relief mixed with pain. Something was happening. Something she'd feared humanity would never see again. Hope. Then the ship's alarms blared. Multiple jump signatures detected, Horizon announced. "Purge fleet incoming." Aria's mouth tightened. She'd expected them eventually, but not so soon. "How many ships?" "The Empire has deployed 327 vessels," Horizon said, "including 3 dread carriers." Aria cracked her knuckles. "They're coming to kill the legend before it grows." "Recommendation?" Horizon asked. Aria smiled beneath her helmet. We go to them. The Spectre banked sharply as Firestorm-controlled Terran ships swarmed to her side like awakened dragons. The Purge fleet began to materialize from hyperspace in a blaze of white light. The galaxy watched. The rebels waited. And Aria Solace prepared to turn a massacre into a miracle. Firestorm's judgment. The first wave of Imperial warships tore into real space with the force of a collapsing star. Their arrival lit the void above Zephyr Prime in blinding white arcs. 3 dread carriers, dozens of cruisers, and hundreds of escort frigates forming a wall of steel and spite. Aria stood at the Spectre's command deck, watching the holographic battlefield unfold. Red icons, Imperial vessels, flooded the map. Blue icons, Firestorm-controlled Terran relic ships, were drastically fewer but positioned like coiled predators. Horizon's voice carried a tone Aria had only heard a handful of times before. Purge fleet formation confirmed. Their orders are to eliminate you, General Solace, and neutralize all Firestorm signatures. Aria narrowed her eyes. Then let's disappoint them. As the words left her mouth, the first dread carrier opened fire. A massive energy beam surging across the battlefield, cutting a Terran drone frigate clean in half. The blast spread debris like shrapnel across the stars. Aria didn't flinch. Spectre, full cloak. Begin drift pattern. The ship dissolved into the void, disappearing into a transparent shimmer. The Spectre drifted sideways, stalking the battlefield like a silent phantom. Above the chaos, on every broadcast channel Firestorm still controlled, the galaxy watched. The myth rising. The Empire trembling. Horizon outlined fleet telemetry in glowing arcs. Enemy weapons systems are using an updated neural lock. Their targeting matrix won't be disabled easily. Then we don't disable them, Aria said. She pointed to the holographic dread carrier. We break them. Her plan was impossible on paper, exactly the kind she excelled at. Prepare the shock collapse sequence, she ordered. Horizon paused. General, that tactic has an 82% chance of catastrophic feedback. I know, she said. Do it. The AI obeyed. Terran ships formed a spearhead around the Spectre, converging silently. Their dormant reactors, designed a century earlier, began to pulse in unison. Firestorm linked them through a shared lattice, their energies syncing in a rhythm older than the Empire itself. The Purge fleet recognized the shift. Multiple Terran signatures converging. Horizon translated from captured comms. They are panicking. Good, Aria said. They should. She opened a secure channel. To all Firestorm-commanded vessels, execute Judgment Lance. The stars trembled. Dozens of Terran ships discharged a synchronized shockwave, an invisible pulse that distorted space like ripples on a dark ocean. Imperial cruisers near the blast twisted violently, their shields shrieking under the strain. 2 frigates imploded. 1 dread carrier staggered, its forward cannons flickering. Aria stepped closer to the display. That's the weak point. Firestorm hit it again. The Terran relic ships obeyed, moving with eerie precision. They unleashed a second coordinated shockwave, tighter, sharper. This time the dread carrier's shield collapsed entirely. Its hull ruptured along its spine, releasing a burning trail of atmosphere as it tilted sideways. The explosion came moments later, a blooming inferno spreading across the void. Horizon spoke. 1 dread carrier eliminated. Imperial command channels are disorganized. Aria exhaled slowly. Good. Let them feel it. But the Empire was far from done. The surviving carriers unleashed swarms of fighter drones, dark as locust clouds. Bursts of red plasma lit the darkness as they spiraled toward the Terran spearhead. Spectre, decloak, Aria commanded. The ship shimmered into view, weapons armed. Horizon asked gently, Your next command, General? Bring us into the swarm. The Spectre dove forward, engines flaring. Plasma trails streaked past its hull like fiery comets. Aria's fingers danced across the command interface. The ship responded instantly, barrel rolls, inverted drift, cutting through enemy formations with surgical grace. The fighters locked onto her, hundreds at once. Horizon sounded calm and slightly amused. They appear motivated. Aria smirked beneath her helmet. Let them chase a ghost. She tapped a control. The Spectre dispersed a cloud of electromagnetic decoys, miniature, self-propelled phantoms mimicking the ship's energy signature. The swarm broke apart, following false targets. The real Spectre slipped through the chaos, rising underneath an Imperial cruiser. Target engines, Aria ordered. A single plasma lance erupted from the ship's undercarriage, slicing through the cruiser's thrusters. The vessel lurched, spiraling helplessly into the path of a drifting debris field. It shattered on impact. Horizon updated the battle map. Imperial losses increasing. Their formation is unstable. Not enough, Aria whispered. We must break their will. Her gaze locked onto the second dread carrier, the one coordinating the swarm. Set coordinates for a direct strike, she said. Horizon hesitated. That vessel is heavily shielded. Then we get inside the shield. The Spectre soared upward, weaving between fighter trails and exploding relic drones. The dread carrier loomed ahead, colossal, merciless, its hull glowing with power. Aria stood at the center console, steady, fearless. Prepare the spectral dive. Horizon's avatar flickered. The spectral dive has never been tested in combat. Then today's a good day for science. The ship accelerated. Energy built around it in a spiraling vortex, blue, crackling, hungry. The Spectre phased, its atoms blurring, shifting partially out of real space. Angle 12 degrees downward, Aria commanded. The ship dipped. Speed, maximum. The ship became a streak of blue fire. At the last second, Horizon's voice dropped to a whisper. Impact. The Spectre pierced the dread carrier's shield like a needle through cloth, passing through the energy barrier in a burst of crackling distortion. Inside, Aria didn't breathe. Now, she shouted. The Spectre released a pulse of phased energy that surged outward, tearing through the carrier's internal systems. Lights died. Engines quaked. The entire vessel split open like a cracking shell. A silent explosion ignited from within, blooming into the void. 2 dread carriers destroyed. The Purge fleet began retreating. For the first time in centuries, the Empire ran. Aria watched them flee, breathing hard. Horizon, record this. Recording, the AI replied. This is only the beginning. She turned toward the stars ahead, toward the suffering worlds, the rebellions rising, the war she was about to ignite. Prepare coordinates, she said quietly. It's time we take the fight to the Empire. And far across the galaxy, worlds held their breath as the legend of Aria Solace continued to burn.